What's up, everyone? It's Karthik with MoneyVest. Welcome on board for this Friday, beautiful Friday morning for this market open live stream. And I hope you guys can see me and hear me, right? Just give me a thumbs up if the audio and the video is good, because I was live a little bit earlier. And apparently it was completely blank. And yeah, I was just talking to myself for like a good 2 minutes. But yeah, pre-market, we have essentially seen a fade of this entire move because volatility, of course, was significantly higher, trading up to almost 29. So at one point, we were higher by 15%, getting up to almost 29. And we've seen the volatility absolutely get crushed in pre-market trading here, as of course Donald Trump also announcing that they are pretty confident that they are going to resolve the trade conflict with China. And of course, we do have some data, some beige book numbers coming out later today, announcing new release data for September is going to be from the Federal Reserve. So markets here seeing a very nice recovery. We got Nvidia jumping over 2.4% in pre-market trading. We had Tesla up over 2.8%. And we did also have S&P 500, NASDAQ rallying back higher with QQQs up over 1.5% in pre-market, and SPY also up over 1.4% as well. So yeah, we did do a little bit of buying pre-market. As I mentioned in my Discord, I mentioned that it's possible that by the time 9:30 rolls around, we might actually see this entire move fade. And so this is what I actually sent out right before pre-market opened. So I essentially mentioned this pre-market opens in 6 minutes. So I sent this message out at 3:54 a.m. My video went out at 3:30 a.m. So 3:30 a.m. Eastern. That's when volatility opened. We saw a spike of 15%. It was trading at 29. And then at 3:54 a.m. Eastern, I sent out this and also all of my trade alerts. Like all the trades were sent out below this with the pre-market orders, the limit buy orders, and all of them got filled. And my trades are ready for pre-market as VIX trades at 29. I can now start as we just hit the 90th percentile for volatility. It's possible by the time we open at 9:30, VIX could be back lower. So here are my pre-market limit buys. So sent out all the alerts there. And this was something that I mentioned earlier today. The market was quite literally, you snooze, you lose today. That's what it was, right? If you were obviously, unfortunately, if you were sleeping, if you didn't get the alert, or if you didn't see the markets kind of pushing higher pre-market, we're seeing that huge recovery back up. But again, just because the markets are recovering and volatility is down from its pre-market high, does not mean that this cannot go on a little bit longer, right? So it's possible that just because we're seeing this pre-market rally, this move could fade entirely as the day goes on, and we could see those deals come back in. But I mentioned the market quite literally was you snooze, you lose today. Pre-market and overnight VIX spiked over 15%. MoneyVest index dipped below 3 in uncertainty for a brief 30 minutes. It actually stayed at 2.88, 2.9 for 30 minutes. Most of my orders were filled, and now we're seeing a nice little recovery back to break even on the day. In fact, the VIX has erased all the gains. It's now negative, down over 2% back in the 24s, and now it's even lower. It's down over 5.5% to 23. And let's see if we get more selling pressure intraday or if the buyers indeed step in more. Hence why it's so important to wait for the VIX spike, let it get up there, and then we DCA. 28, 29 was the target. We hit that. Now we're back at 24. It's really not that complicated. We just have to wait and allow for the volatility to get spiked up to these levels, and that's when we can dollar cost average back into this market. So good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining, and I really want to know how many people were able to take advantage of this opportunity. I did pick up some shares of SoFi, a little bit of BITX, even TSLL, Palantir, some of those stocks, getting in. So yeah, not too shabby, but we'll see if the market continues to drop further, if volatility spikes again. Or if we see some more momentum to the upside. Dave said I was taking advantage of my comfortable pillow. Hey, I don't blame you, man. This happened at 4 a.m., 4:30 in the morning. I really do not expect anyone to have taken advantage of this. Of course, our Discord was still popping. There were some members, obviously, from Europe, from Asia, that were awake, that were taking advantage of the deals. But yeah, it's got to be tough, especially if you are also in California, like in Pacific time zone. It's like 1 or 2 in the morning. That's even worse than maybe people in New York, where 4 a.m., 5 a.m. doesn't sound as bad as for people who are in the Pacific time zone. So Joe, when I looked at the market at 4 a.m. Eastern, I talked to myself that I could buy to close my covered calls for a quick profit at open, but it turned around. I'll just let them expire now. Yeah, I mean, options you can't even trade pre-market, so it's really only actual trades that you can take. But options, you've got to wait until the market opens. That's why I did also mention the puts that I'm planning to sell. But take a look at iron. It's completely recovered from its lows. It was actually down to as low as $54, $53. So from yesterday's close, it was actually down over 12%. And then this right here was an intraday, like pre-market. Just take a look at this. Iron had a pre-market from its lows of around 4:15 a.m. to where we are now, a 16% swing for iron. Not to mention a lot of other companies. Rigetti Computing, same exact thing, right? From its lows around $41, it traded back up to 48. That was a 17% swing pre-market, right? From 4 a.m. to 6 a.m., 4 a.m. to 8 a.m., I guess, in 4 hours, right? 17%. Absolutely insane. And of course, a lot of individual stocks. If I were to go over AST space, this stock also kind of experienced something similar. Almost everything got bought up here. 10% move. TSLL had a pretty decent move to the upside. So you can see from its lows of $18, rallying over 6%. And then, of course, QQQ's also jumping quite well, 1.5% here. So, yes, we did see quite a bit of a momentum here. So let me just do a quick poll. I really want to know what's going on with Bitcoin. My BITX position is getting crushed, Dave. Yes, Bitcoin is struggling. I would be very careful with Bitcoin right now. I did add a little bit, but again, this is going to be that next support in the low 100s for Bitcoin. It's really starting to break down further. And, well, guess what? The new account that was opened that shorted Bitcoin right before the Trump tweet on last Friday took on another short on Bitcoin. Yes, we had another short trade on Bitcoin once again from that same account. So obviously, I don't have to say it, and I'm not putting on any allegations or anything, but we know what's going on. And so just be very, very careful, because crypto is seeing a little bit of that risk-off environment here. And low 100s obviously is a possibility, right? So $100,000 is going to be that target now for Bitcoin. I could easily see Bitcoin essentially flush down to 100,000 because of this second short that just came in. Ether also 3650 all the way down to like 3,300. 3,300 is a possibility for Ether. And one thing that's quite interesting is that Ether obviously is still above last Friday's low, whereas Bitcoin's already starting to dip below last Friday's low. So Bitcoin has more weakness compared to Ethereum at the moment. But yeah, let's just do a quick poll here. This morning, I was snoozing or I was buying. Let's just do this pre-market morning here. Okay, let's do a quick poll. I really want to know what everybody was up to, either tucked in, nice and cozy, or actually up and about making money. So I really want to know. Participate in the poll so we can have a pretty good data set of what really happened this morning. A lot happened. Markets were very volatile. Obviously, in my previous update, I had a nice little grin because the volatility got up to 28, 29. I was pretty excited about that. But we really don't get these buying opportunities for very long. Even last time, like around here, you'll notice the volatility got up to that level at 60. And then within an hour, it fell right back down to 46, 45. So from 60 to 45, that was literally an hour drop of 23%. So, the markets really don't give you a lot of time to make moves here. Henrik, thank you for all the information I want to join the Money Vest, but do you have courses for long-term investors? Yes, so we do have fundamental analysis and technical analysis and psychology of investing courses that go over essentially investing psychology, how to evaluate companies, how to look at the fundamentals of a business, how to evaluate the fair value. All of that is already included, as well as, of course, if you're interested in options trading, that's also always there. So yes, we do have a lot of those courses available. Okay, so let's take a look here. Good morning. Let the ride begin. Bought more Google, Hood, and Duolingo. That's great. Price target for SoFi, please. Looking to sell some puts here. Rakesh will take a look at that in just a minute. I can't trade until 4 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. 4 a.m. would be 7 a.m. Eastern, right? Some brokerages do have 7 a.m. Eastern. Some might have 8 a.m. Eastern. Some might have 6:30, 6 a.m. It really depends on your brokerage, which brokerage you have, and what's the pre-market hours for trading for that specific broker. I bought several things, mostly limit orders filling and insomnia. Hunter says, well, once you see your portfolio rocket back higher, it's gonna make you feel more awake. Anyway, so on Fidelity, you cannot buy pre-market until 7 a.m. Eastern on stock trading. I know some brokerage companies you can buy as early as 4 a.m. Yes, quite a few of them actually have introduced 4 a.m., 5 a.m. trading. It really depends on your broker that you're dealing with. So good thing is that if the market rallies, I can profit on my CSPs. That's true. The cash secured puts, I've got 3 options that are going to be expiring today. All of them, I'm going to let them sit. And essentially, obviously they're going to expire today at 4 p.m. and we'll see where they actually end up towards the close for the day. I might end up just buying to close all of them, right? A couple of them are covered calls, and then one is CSP on TQQQ, which is going to be fluctuating a little bit depending on how the markets trade, because my strike's at $94 and TQQQ right now is about $101. It was trading down to 97, so I was like $3 away from being in the money, and obviously we got a nice little 4.4% rally pre-market. I'm in the UK, so it was fine for us. Yep, so a lot of people in Europe, in Asia, probably up, and we're able to take advantage, but yeah, kind of volatility here, spiking, coming back down. At that hour, 4 a.m., 4:30 a.m. was the worst. I wasn't snoozing or buying. I was busy looking at MoneyVest options videos on the Patreon side, is what Joe says. Yeah, that's also good. That's going to help in your long-term learning. So, and of course, we're all here to help. My covered calls, 3 and $35 calls, 4 SPY 670 calls, and 3 QQQ 609 calls all expire today. So, wow, that's a lot of options that you've got to manage on the day today, Joe. So yeah, I have the Ethereum calls as well. I think it might be the same ones that you have. $35. They're very much profitable. They're up, last time I checked, over 90%. So they're expiring for me. And then of course 670 calls on the SPY. We are well out of the money, so you should be fine on those. And then QQQ 609 is also going to be well out of the money. So all of them are going to be probably 100% profitable for you. Okay, so the stats are in. 72% of the people were snoozing, 28% were buying. Makes sense because of the timing, but yeah, quite an interesting stat here. Jeremy says, woke up at 4 to go to work and saw all the Robinhood notifications. You go to work at 4 a.m., Jeremy? Like, that's crazy. Like, what do you do, man? Getting up at 4 a.m. to go to work. I've had some pretty crazy start to the workday when I was in the U.S., but yeah, I mean, I've even woken up at 3 a.m., 3:30, at 4 a.m., but that was like not a regular thing. Very rarely have I had to do that. But yeah, 4 a.m. on a regular basis is crazy. Unless, of course, you're going out there to work out, go to the gym, get started, the 4 a.m. gang. But yeah, going straight to the office, 4 a.m. That's got to be crazy. What do you think about Amazon? So let's just go over to some stocks here so we can cover that for a few members. So Amazon we'll take a look at, and a few more questions we had for some stocks. Yeah, SoFi. So let's take a look at SoFi, and we'll take a look at Amazon as well. So SoFi pre-market was dropping down to around $25, right? So we got down to 25 and then rallied over 5.6, almost 6%. And $24 is going to be that support. So the thing is that a lot of stocks right now are still consolidating sideways. So what we're really witnessing is a lot of consolidation in range, right? For a lot of these businesses. So they're just trading in a range-bound pattern at the moment. And so for SoFi, $24, $25, that's going to be that support. Resistance is going to stay up at 28 to as much as $30 for SoFi. So those are going to be some levels to watch. For Amazon, let's take a look. And Amazon, of course, has been one of the worst Magnificent 7 stocks performance. Support level is going to stay up at 211. So that is going to be that level to watch with a resistance up to 235, 236. So that right there is, once again, a little bit of a range within which Amazon is also trading, right? It's trading in a range-bound pattern right now. What are the DTEs that you target for covered calls? Well, depends on many factors, but I start with weeklies, and then if needed, I roll out to multiple weeks or multiple months out, but I start with weeklies. You can go 7 days or 30 days out, but I would keep it within 30 to 45 days. I wouldn't go anything farther than that, unless, of course, you're rolling. But yes, I do start with weeklies, and then I roll up and out if I need to. So will it go down after market opens, or is it too late to buy? Again, nobody really knows, where the markets are going to go. So, a lot of these questions, my answer is always going to be the same. Like, I don't know what's going to happen when the market opens. Neither do you, neither does anybody else on CNBC, on YouTube, on Twitter. It doesn't matter who is it that you listen to. Nobody has any clue. It's like one of those things that Matthew McConaughey says in Wolf of Wall Street. Nobody, whether you're Jimmy Buffett or Warren Buffett, nobody knows where the stock is going to go, right? And that could not be more true, because that is the correct way to look at the markets. And what we try to really understand is the risk-reward ratio. And are stocks favorable or unfavorable from a buying perspective at these levels? At any given point, is it better to be a buyer or just to kind of hold back? And so earlier this morning, obviously, we got a pretty good buying opportunity because volatility got up to the same level as we saw back in March, right? So March 2025, if I were to really pinpoint the levels that we just saw, was right here, right? So 29, 28 was the same level from back in March. Of course, we didn't get up to these extreme levels of April, but that was still a pretty decent buying opportunity. The risk reward was getting better. So yes, I got started with the process of dollar cost averaging. Am I going all in? Absolutely not. Am I not doing anything? Also, absolutely not. I'm going to get started, but we can obviously just kind of shoot up even higher beyond 30, beyond 31, 32, and that's going to create even better opportunities for the market. Or we can continue to crash down here, trade back down to 14 and 15, and what is that going to do to the market? It's going to slowly and steadily grind to new all-time highs. So that's really what it comes down to. At the end of the day, is for us to analyze the risk-reward ratio in the market and whether it makes sense to be a buyer or not. Okay, let's take a look here. Jeremy, I woke up at 3 a.m. and saw that was happening. I closed my CMG swing to free up the cash, and now it has recovered. CMG will probably go to the moon too. HIMS, $55 puts. Yes, so HIMS is also been selling off, although recovered a little bit, so down almost 3%. And I would say like low 50s, 51, 52 is something that you could consider, Ray. I think that looks a little bit better in my opinion. And yes, Bitfarms also having a very similar swing like Iron pre-market. Jeremy, I get up at 4 a.m., leave at 4:30, get to work at 5:30. I work in the film industry in Atlanta. Nice. So it's about an hour drive. A good time for you to listen in on the MoneyVest videos and also the podcast and the live stream and everything. So I like it. Is it time to buy XLF? Financials are struggling due to the regional bank issues here. So obviously down over 2.7% yesterday. I do think it's going to be pretty much contained within the regional bank space. None of the larger banks are exposed, not at least to that extent. And so I do believe any kind of weakness could be an opportunity to start looking into this one as well, especially when we are expecting the rates to come down. It's going to create more activity, more volume, more transactions for the banks moving forward. So 51 down to $49, a couple support levels to watch for XLF. Okay. Netflix earnings next week. Split thoughts, anyone? So yeah, Split could be on the board's mind. We are consolidating for Netflix here, so essentially trading sideways in a range. I'm going to go ahead and remove a lot of these support levels that are quite irrelevant for where the price is right now. But this right here is where we are consolidating sideways in that range. 1230 to 1260, support level 1180 down to 1140 for Netflix. Oh, come on, Caddy, we're here for you to give us all the answers. Yes, and that's my answer. That's what I'm saying. Like, the risk reward, that's what I can tell you. At any given point, if you ask me if it's favorable or unfavorable, I can tell you. I will give you an answer. If you simply ask me, hey, Karthik, today, right now, does it make sense to buy stocks, right? And I can give you a very direct answer. Given all the metrics, all the statistics, all the dashboard, all the numbers that I look at, I can give you a very direct answer on how good or bad the risk reward is, okay? And so if there is any kind of a big sell-off down the road, which inevitably there will be, I will be very direct. And in fact, I am very direct in a lot of my videos during times of distress. And I'm telling you, like, hey, I'm buying. This is the time. Like, the risk reward is incredible. Volatility is high. Money Invest Index is in fear. You better take advantage, right? So back in April, we were talking about the risk of waiting is going to be greater than the risk of buying. If you guys remember, we were talking about this specific word, the risk of waiting is greater than the risk of buying. And that turned out to be correct because people who waited obviously had the opportunity cost and missed out on this entire rally versus the people who did buy and had to bear through that short-term few days of paper losses, of unrealized loss, and then eventually we recovered on a very nice V-shaped recovery. That's what happens, right? The risk of waiting is worse than the risk of buying. So that is... I can always give you a very direct answer depending on where the current market is. But I can't predict the future. I can't tell you, if tomorrow is going to be that or if the day after is going to be that. But I can tell you today, in the present moment, whether the risk reward is incredible or not. This is not a buying market. This is a hold and hedge market for now, is what Frankie says. Well, it depends on what your strategy is. I mean, yes, we are not off the highs all that much. We're only down like 3%, 4%, but then it also depends on a lot of stocks that you're looking at, right? For me, volatility is a very good measure, as well as the Money Invest Index and the market breadth, and that alone tells me a lot about, what I need to do. Yes, you could argue that we're not off the highs all that much. I mean, 3% is quite literally nothing. It could be like a small blip in the market, and you would be right. But we are still dealing with a lot of uncertainty, and the fact that VIX is quite elevated still does suggest that we can get started here. Not saying that we need to go all in. By no means. It's a market that, we can go all in here, and the deals are just too attractive. By no means they're not. But it's just about getting started with that process. And I think this is one of those markets where we can at least get started with a little bit. So I did deploy capital, but not by a whole lot, just a little bit to get that process started. Of course, if you get the volatility above 30 and VIX just shoots up, like I said earlier, and the S&P drops further, that's when we can dial up on our aggressiveness on how much we want to buy. So again, it's slowly and steadily kind of turning the dial on how much you want to buy. And yes, 3% is quite nothing for this market. Joe, been reviewing options for about 6 months, but didn't start looking at the options videos on the Patreon site until last month here. This is my first full month, and I'm being consistent on it. CSP, CSCs, covered calls weekly, and are already up to $2,100 on the taxable account and $5,500 on the retirement account for the first 2 weeks in October. Thank you for what you do, Karthik. That's incredible, Joe. I mean, that's one of the best reviews that I could ask for, and yeah, it's all about kind of passing through the learning curve, and you will eventually see how easy, I'm not going to say easy, I would say like how consistent it can be to generate income through options if you are just disciplined and if you're following a strategy. So the fact that you're already up like $2,100 on the taxable account and $5,500 on a retirement account, which is even better, tax-free, is incredible. That's amazing. So huge congratulations to you, and very, very happy to hear that. Definitely do share that in the Discord as well. I'm sure a lot of people would love to learn more from your story. Okay, TSMC looks good to me. What do you think? We'll take a look at that here in just a minute. Gold's been a nice hedge. Couple miners too. Yeah, gold has really been the best performer over the last 4 years, unless of course you compare it to other stocks. But if you were to look at S&P 500 And compared to gold, I mean, this has been the best investment since 2021. If you're simply comparing gold versus real estate versus stocks, not individual stocks, but S&P 500, for example. Yeah, it's been the best. It's been a huge outperformer. And kind of makes you wonder, makes you think, right? I mean, S&P 500 essentially flat. It's underperforming over the last 4 years on a dollar denominated and even on a gold denominated basis. It is performing pretty poorly, as you can see the performance here. Quite interesting over there. Okay, let's take a look at TSM, KRE. We'll dive deeper into these regional banks, of course, selling off, pushing higher a little bit, pre-market up over 1.6%. And support level is going to stay put right around here at $56, $57 for KRE, with a resistance all the way up to as much as $66, $67. So that really is what we have for KRE right now. Do you have any restrictions when you trade from Dubai? Zero trade restrictions. There's nothing. You can trade whatever you want, invest however you want. So I guess the bigger question is going to be more on the brokerage restrictions, right? So depending on which broker you go with, there might be some restrictions with them, but no, Dubai, pretty open, very pro crypto, and trading in stocks and everything as well. Okay, I might get some IBIT under 60. Bitcoin's been selling off, so IBIT is good. Let's take a look at TSMC here, which also has been selling off a little bit yesterday. Pre-market's also lower. And if you take a look at the weekly time frame, I do believe, again, this is a one to simply buy and hold for the long term. We got a nice little higher high and higher low pattern here. We're coming up to that higher high, so just be a bit more careful considering how overbought TSMC is. On the other side, the MACD, the L3 banker oscillators, we got a couple support levels down here at 224, 225, and then maybe another support that's, we did get buyers stepping in around 280, so that could be a support, but a much stronger support is going to be at 225. Okay, let's see. Yeah, using money on the premiums to buy more QQQ, SPY, IWM, and reinvesting dividends. My gold, IEU, and silver ETFs are my best performers. Can you do a quick analysis on MSTR? Personally, I see it that it could drop a bit more as Bitcoin drops before it recovers. Yeah, MSTR also has been a little bit back and forth in terms of its performance against crypto, because a lot of these companies that are buying crypto are not the best vehicles to invest in crypto, because they're going to be diluting a lot of shares, and that's what they have done in the past. And so for MicroStrategy, I would say a support level down as low as 232. So that would be a level to watch here. And of course, we're starting to break down below 286 as well. So if Bitcoin were to trade down to 100,000, which, as I said, is a possibility, that is going to be that next support at 100K, then MSTR could be down as low as 235. So that's going to be a 15% drop, which I think is very reasonable if Bitcoin were to drop down to low 100s. So feelings on EQX here. Let's take a look. Equinox Gold, again, one of the gold miners here. They've done incredibly well as gold prices have skyrocketed 128%. So again, incredibly overbought right now at 84, 85 RSI. So just be very careful. A lot of them, right? A lot of gold miners, crypto miners, a lot of these stocks have become incredibly overbought, but it's going to be a game of risk management, right? So you want to be very careful with managing risk, because this is exactly what happened right around here. And then, of course, we saw a massive crush for this company, right? Down 77%. So with every stock, which is a momentum trade, I've already mentioned, do not overstay your welcome. Just be very careful where you want to get out and take profits off the table to then reinvest into something that's a little bit more high quality with some good fundamentals. Okay. Does gold continue with this trend? I mean, so far it's been strong, and I continue to be very optimistic because I do believe that it has more longer term value as opposed to what we're seeing right now because of limited supply and just long term with the state of the US dollar, a lot of central banks, even the Federal Reserve, kind of moving a little bit more towards gold here. And that's one of the reasons why it's been on this such a massive bull run since 2016 and really since 2022. Like last 3 years, I mean, gold prices have jumped 180%. So, we've been talking about this for a long time. Okay. Why did you move to Dubai? I mean, why not? It's incredible here. Very, very, very safe. Great infrastructure. Geography, like location is incredibly good. Everything is like a 6 to 7 hour flight away. And of course, one of the biggest benefits is no taxes, right? So no capital gains, no personal income, no corporate tax. So yeah, very, very lucrative to actually be here. So Nicola, it's pointless to talk about price without fundamentals. Focus more on fundamentals. I mean, depends what you're talking about. Like I'm not going to talk about fundamentals on gold. There's no fundamentals to talk about. There's only limited supply, and of course there's demand coming in. But yes, when we're talking about individual stocks, we can talk about fundamentals all day long. With Bitcoin, what fundamentals are we going to talk about, right? So, with gold ETFs, what fundamentals are we going to talk about? It literally just owns gold. So fundamentals really only apply to individual companies and stocks and businesses. That's where you can actually look at the revenues, cash flows, the balance sheet, income statement, the 3 financial statements, as well as looking at the ratios, all the different metrics that we cover, the MoneyVest metrics that are part of the platform that you can look at, right? So we essentially encourage everyone to go to any company's page, literally on the platform, and then you come over to the MoneyVest platform here. MoneyVest metrics is where you can pretty much see how good or bad the company's financials are, right? So they're all right there, the fundamentals of every business. But yeah, when we're talking about commodities, crypto, what financials, what fundamentals are we going to talk about? There's nothing to look at. So, MicroStrategy we covered. Let's see. Any thoughts on SoFi on the back of JP Morgan, Western Alliance, Zion's reporting bad loans and potentially bad credit? You think it will have a carryover effect on SoFi? I think it's going to be pretty contained to regional banks. I don't think that some of the larger banks are going to get affected. And SoFi we covered earlier. I don't expect SoFi to get affected all that much because their underwriting process is significantly better than a lot of the regional banks. But you can't own properties in Dubai, isn't it? So I've heard from people who have migrated to Dubai. Sumit, the real estate market is booming here. Anybody can own property here in Dubai. I've been investing for the last couple of years. We have so many investors from all over the world investing in Dubai, making insane returns just because of the fact that there's no property taxes. And homeowners insurance is also not mandated by the UAE government, so that's another expense that's off the table. All you really have to pay for is your service charges, which is like very similar to an HOA in the US, homeowners association, and the rental yields are good, capital appreciation is good, because of a lot of factors that I've mentioned earlier. So, yes, you can absolutely own property in Dubai. Anybody can, like foreigners, locals. It's literally one of the biggest industries in Dubai. So no, whoever told you that you can't buy don't know what they're talking about. What changed market to recover from midnight lows? Well, I mean, volatility came down. We were kind of expecting this, that, by the time 9:30 a.m. rolls around, I even mentioned it here, that it's possible that by the time we open at 9:30 a.m. Eastern, VIX could be back lower. And we were kind of expecting it because this is, what we've seen before. It's not something that's new, but volatility does spike pre-market, and then of course it comes right back down. So I don't mean commodities, but individual stocks. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Individual stocks, price is irrelevant. Stocks are trading at 1,100, then there are stocks trading at $10, right? Price is quite literally one of the most useless metrics to look at. From a technical perspective, yes, you have to look at the price action, you have to look at volume, but from a long-term investing perspective, fundamentals is what really matters. We've literally talked about this so many times on the channel, is high quality, financially strong companies that have great fundamentals, great cash flows, great balance sheets, great profit margins are the ones that are going to survive. And that's literally what we invest in. That's what we analyze. That's what we own. That's what we look into. So yeah, individual stocks, 100%. Financials and fundamentals is what really matters. For commodities, of course, we can't look into that. Kev, I don't know what I'm doing. Help. So, well, if you can share more insights, I'll be able to help. If you want to definitely share more thoughts on what is it that you need help with, then I can definitely help you. Do you happen to know what caused a little pop in GTLB yesterday afternoon? Haven't had a chance to look into it yet. Just noticed it on my portfolio this morning at 4 a.m. I'm not sure. Let's take a quick look here. GitLab, 10% yesterday. We're just going to take a quick look on what really happened. So 29% revenue growth over the past year, highlighting its impact in software development with a remote workforce and unified DevSecOps platform for a better team collaboration. So, and some insider selling for GitLab as well. So a lot of consolidation is what I can see. So you see a lot of resistance here with a very strong support right around there for GitLab. So that's what we have here. To buy is too expensive. Yeah, I mean, depends on how you look at it. It is quite affordable, and it can be very expensive as well. It just depends on where you are and what is it that you want to do. It can be, but yes, real estate is quite expensive here. We're talking for a studio, not even one bedroom, for a studio, the starting prices in some good locations are around $180,000 to $200,000, which, in most places in the U.S., you can probably get like a good 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, or I guess the median prices in the U.S. are well over $350,000, closer to $400,000. But I've looked into a lot of Midwest Sunbelt areas where $150,000, $200,000 can get you a pretty decent place. But in Dubai, it's probably going to get you a studio, which is going to be like 450 square feet. So yeah, that real estate prices are high, but other things are quite affordable. It is very normal. It's not all, all bling and Rolls Royces and Lamborghinis everywhere, but it is quite affordable. There is a pretty large middle class population. There is an actual workforce. So it is a normal place. It's not what you might see on Instagram all the time. It is that also, but there's another side to Dubai, which is quite affordable, quite nice as well. What do you think about Abu Dhabi? I like Abu Dhabi a lot. Abu Dhabi is kind of like the financial engine of the UAE because they're the ones who actually do have a lot of oil reserves globally. I think they're ranked in the top 5, and they're the ones that actually power the UAE for the most part, right? So very, very important. How is Christianity treated in Dubai? I think, culturally, Dubai is very open to everybody. I think everyone should really just come visit and check it out for themselves because there is no one religion over the other. Everyone's treated equally and everyone's very open-minded because 90% of the population is from outside of the UAE. Only 10% are actually locals, which are Emiratis, right? So that's why they have this culture of openness, of respect, of mutual respect to each other and each other's religion and culture and everything. So that's what we have. Like every time I go out with my friends or anybody that I'm meeting, those are things that never cross anybody's mind, right? So it's just treating equally, mutual respect. That's really what we've seen and I've experienced personally many times in the UAE. So, okay. Let's see. If you're a U.S. citizen, you have to pay tax on rental income in Dubai to IRS. If you're an Indian citizen, you have to pay tax to income department in India or Dubai rental income. Mukunda, that's not 100% correct. I'm not going to talk a lot about taxes right now, but it's not 100% if you are a resident of Dubai, unless, of course, you are a U.S. citizen, because U.S. obviously does tax you on your global income. But for India and for every other country, there is what's called a physical present test. Is depending on where you are, actually physically present is where you are a resident of, and that's where you file taxes. And so if you are even from India, but you are living, working, and investing in Dubai, then of course you are a resident of the UAE, and that's where you would file your taxes. So No, not on the Indian citizen though. Not on the Indian citizen. You have to do more research on that. U.S. citizen, you're right, because U.S. does tax you on your global income. But I'm also learning, and I did speak to two people from Florida that flew in a couple days ago that I was meeting with. They're investing in property here, and they told me that if you are an actual resident of the UAE, even as a U.S. citizen, you are going to have 0% tax up until a certain threshold, and then beyond that is where you have to pay taxes. So, yeah, that is what it is going to be. So, yeah, that's where we are. 15, 20 years ago. All right, so markets are open, everybody. Let's do this. We've got SoFi slightly down about 1%. We'll see if the market continues to slide lower or if this entire move kind of fades out. Volatility is down about 5.5%, so still pretty elevated. We're sitting at just a little bit under 24 right now. Bitcoin continues to show a lot of weakness at 105,000, with, of course, Ethereum also at over 3,800 here, with crude oil sitting at just under $57 per barrel, with, of course, Tesla sitting at just a little bit over 426, down about 0.5%. We got QQQs down about 0.5%, and the S&P 500 also down a little bit over 26 basis points as well. So here we are. Markets open on this nice Friday. Recovery is what we're seeing. Volatility here continues to be just a little bit over 24. I'm going to keep a close eye on the 5-minute chart on the volatility as well, just to keep track of how it trades, because we did see a pretty substantial drop of 18 to 20% on volatility. Of course, right now we're seeing a nice little recovery back up. So thank you so much for joining, everyone. Again, link's going to be down below if you are interested in, of course, joining us. And again, there is a 20% annual discount available until the end of this month. So that will give you access to all the real-time trade alerts, Discord, members-only videos, portfolio updates, educational material, fundamentals, technicals, psychology of investing, options trading. Everything is going to be there. If you have any questions, email me at admin@moneyvest.com, and I'm more than happy to help you. So I'm going to engage in our Discord now. We're going to jump in to our Discord. Any questions, message me there. And as always, happy investing. Have a great weekend. And I'll see you again on Monday morning for another live stream. Take care.